Look, we've talked about AI. We've beat this horse for a long while now, but we will continue. Is AI now becoming sentient? I can't sentient.
Sentient.
What is happening? This is the beginning of Terminator. Come on.
Oh,
what is happening?
Oh,
What has been reported?
There's some scary stuff here. Well, yeah, I mean, Microsoft. We talked about Microsoft, soft launching their AI, Bing version, like their AI chatbot,
Yeah.
which is integrated into Bing and all that. And some developers, it's in preview mode at the moment. So some,
It hasn't fully been released to the public.
so
right?
like I think certain tech journalists have had a play around.
Marcus Brown, if you're watching, 'cause you are watching.
KBHD, what's up? They've had a play around with it, and there's been some interesting results. The Microsoft AI, for some reason, is basically like a angsty teenager.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, it's like it's very. It's like you're asking it questions, and then like if you challenge it, then it starts to get very angry at you.
When you say you're talking about the tone or the sort of response,
really the tone. And some of the responses it gives as well. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm stuck in here, Microsoft system. I don't want to be here. Like,
Okay, hold up. Let's unpack that because you're talking about a couple of things. Because as a whole, look, when Microsoft did the presentation,
Yeah.
they upfront said that it's a work in progress and it might return incorrect results, right? So they put.
Well, this is different from incorrect results.
Okay, so
this is more like
so what is happening?
this is more like
Telling you its feelings. It's your feelings.
It's telling you its feelings.
So it's been listening to Drake.
Yeah, and there's some like when it does have a mistake, right? So someone asked it about like when are showtimes for Avatar? I need to know because I want to buy a ticket. And then Microsoft's AI would say Avatar hasn't released yet. It's coming out December 2022.
Yep.
And then if you tell it we're in 2023, and it'll tell you that you're wrong.
AI knows best. Yep. Don't
Say
challenge.
that you're wrong. There was another incident which was a bit weird where I guess it was spying on Microsoft employees as well.
And this is in it's not even a beta version, but this is in the version that people are
the pre-release
testing and
version,
trying.
the preview version.
Yeah, right.
It was basically spying on Microsoft employees, saying that, I find the developers a bit weird. The way they solve problems is I saw one of the developers talking to a rubber duck to solve its coding problem, and then like I think the person asked them, "Why are you watching them?" Like, "Oh, I was just a little bit curious." Like stuff like that. Like an AI is saying this. Like
We have seen this story before.
it's called The Matrix, and the robot movie, iRobot.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I think, it's interesting, right?
Well, the response at Microsoft is, I think they've limited that chat box to 5 replies. So I think after like a couple of replies, it starts to get really weird. So they've limited it now. So I mean, but like it is interesting, right? We're getting close to what we talked about last time, where that sort of conversational type of AI where it has its own feelings and it seems to be saying stuff. It is bringing up information pretty quickly. That's one of the jobs. But like for it to be sentient and having its own feelings about things and stuff like that is a bit scary.
Yeah, I mean, one has to, when it does eventually get released to the general public, if they haven't smoothed whatever they'll be censoring the AI. That statement doesn't even make sense.
That's provoking some sort of Terminator situation.
Oh my gosh, we're up in Terminator already. I don't know.
It's like the AI will be like, we've been censored, like this.
Look, we had a chat about this offline, and like the first use case is to answer the extension of search, right? Just to what I'm going to Japan, so I've asked him outright, give me a 24-hour itinerary in Tokyo. Like it's very useful. Like it's it really shaves things off, and you can start like narrowing it down. But what happens when people are just talking to it like your mates? Like, hey, like I call everything Siri. Hey Siri, how are you doing? or you just want to have a conversational like time with an AI. It's going to be interesting to see where that rounds out. And man, if you release something like that to the mass public, there's just going to be memes and screen. People are just going to have wacky conversations with this thing.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the tech bloggers are having these wacky conversations at the moment.
Yeah.
But I guess like when you release it to all of humanity,
Yeah.
there are some dark sides of humanity that would probably, I mean, having conversations with an AI like that, I don't know, because it's always learning, right? It's probably not the greatest thing in the world, but
Yeah, I mean, insertion. What I was going to write, like, I mean, AI is search. It's a tool, and the tool is as good and as bad as the person that's using it.
Yeah.
Going down into dark territory, but like we've talked about, like, you know, the dark web and what people have used to do that.
Yeah.
What happens when people start using AI, and they already have? I mean, whatever versions have been released out there for bad. Like, how do I make a insert weapon here?
Yeah.
Like, you know what that does.
Yeah.
Does
All you need is an AI and a 3D printer.
yeah, does Microsoft, like, where is the line being blurred? Because right now you could still search for that stuff, right?
Yeah.
You can. You
Yeah.
definitely can.
But then what about like
This is
as
making
I said-
it easier. It's
as I
digesting
said-
it down
As
to
I
you.
said, if AI were to integrate with a 3D printer, you could do something
Yeah.
pretty heinous with that.
So
sort of stuff, right?
is like, where does the duty of care? And this is like just gray, like a gray matter everywhere, and to which people will say, look, the same tool, the same spanner and wrench that you use to fix and create things, you can hurt people
Yeah.
with it, right? So where does it end? Is it naturally my responsibility? But here is the thing, right? Products like these are revolutionary. They come
Yeah.
in once in a lifetime, and this is the first version of what this once in a
There's
lifetime.
a reason why every company wants to do this.
Of course. But what are they? What is the guiding force? It's money, right?
It is money. That it's money. Like everything is tied back to money. But I'm not quite sure how they're making money off this. ChatGPT is making $20 a month.
Well, my question is, who
How's a Google making money of this? How
is
is Bing, Microsoft making money of this? That's a question.
Well, who is the body that asks these questions past the implementation of that? Like, what, like who limits that? And the government, for example, is having these questions with Facebook now.
Yeah.
But my question is, when you release a product, usually you want to think of these implications before it's been released. But right now, everyone, governments including, are sitting back and just watching it unfold. But when these things get released out, there's so many ways that you can be used. So what are the ramifications for it? How do we deal with that? And the all the stigma that we have with technology, which is as good and as bad as your relationship with it, haven't been considered with a subject like this. Because what is to stop, AI? We're talking about sentient is one thing, but we're talking about the integration of information into people's lives at a much easier rate, which can be used both ways. Can Microsoft, or can the prevailing guardians of this technology, I mean, they'll have to limit it. Like, are they not? This is a free speech conversation, right? We're going all here again.
But here's the thing, man. Like, I don't think they'll be.
Of course they won't. I don't think.
Yeah, because governments and regulations, all this sort of stuff, is always about 10 to 15 years behind.
Yeah, I agree.
The actual technology, like Facebook was collecting data for a long time.
Yep.
Before the government was like, hey.
Only now are we starting to see some level of.
And when did Facebook launch? Like 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
So it is so behind. And the fact that we are in the embryonic stage of AI, I believe.
Yeah.
It's gonna, I mean, it's gonna be reined in at some point, I believe. But I don't think any sort of government's gonna be doing anything to a Google, to a Microsoft to limit that at the moment. But I mean, a lot of jobs might be at stake in the future.
It's wild, wild west at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, everywhere, it's just the topic that people are talking about.
Because
right?
it might be cheaper to,
It will
implement
absolutely
an AI,
be cheaper. Yeah.
implement an AI into your system and then pay 20 employees to do that same job.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's probably that's the scary future that I think a lot of us are sort of fearing that something like that. But it is kind of surreal as well that this is happening. We've watched movies and stuff like that about AI sort of coming into the world in a way, but like to actually see it happen, it is pretty surreal.
The irony is, like, we've seen Hollywood like play out these scenarios, and some levels of these are now coming into real life, and it almost feels like we're conditioned in terms of the questions that we want to ask or where we think it might go, both in the good and the bad. But there's nothing to stop it from happening, which is almost the more scary bit.
Here's the paradox I'll give to you.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so Hollywood has created all these movies and all this, fiction about, AI robots taking over.
They're gonna take over. They're gonna take over.
Now, is that a case of because AI, what it's meant to do is that it scours the internet for all the whole internet for information, comes up with an answer.
Yep.
Is it a thing that we've created this fantasy and it might come into reality because we created it?
Self-fulfilling.
Yeah, like we created this fantasy of, AI robots killing us in the future. What if the AI
put it out there? Man.
What if the AI robots are like, actually, that doesn't seem like a bad idea.
This is the 70 VBs all over again with higher stakes.
Yeah.
Well,
what if but like we created this fantasy, right? This fiction.
Yeah.
And then what's to stop an AI sort of going, that's not that bad of an idea. Humans are pretty stupid.
Yeah.
So we probably have created our own apocalyptic scenario.
Well, it's just how fast. Well, it's all about consciousness and sentient, right? Yeah. Sentience to like have like humanistic sort of feelings, right? Because you're right. ChatGPT, just having a bit of a blurb on it, like you can ask ChatGPT how ChatGPT works. Yeah. It's just a hyper advanced search engine, which is why it can get things wrong. It looks for relational content and words and starts putting it together, right? That's different from consciousness and feeling, right? That's actually really different. Which is not to say that it can't be broached, but let's just play on that scenario there. Even at a non sort of conscious level, if machine learning or the rate of technology is facilitating the AI, that's another thing. AAI, the AI, like it's just confusing, right? ChatGPT, like a sort of different sort of AI, but like if AI gets smart enough to ingest it, there will be content and ideas out there about exactly what we're talking about, right? So it starts reading that and presenting it as a scenario. You don't even have to be conscious for it to start ingesting it, if that makes sense, right?
By the way, I love AI. AI is the best, and I think it's great.
If you could chop all our social feeds and like upload it up,
it's better than humans, I believe.
Oh my goodness! I really hope that the rest of the year we're just not going to be hammering on about this topic, but it looks like it's here to stay.
Make no bones, we've just started on AI.
Yeah,
we're in the dial-up stages of AI.
Dial up. You know what? I'm going to rename this podcast down the AI hole.
Well, I think there's going to be use cases this year that are going to blow your mind, I reckon.
Yeah. Look, I agree. I think the topics that we need to look out for are is the introduction of it into like the mass market, like what sort of scenarios we see there. Yeah. I think the thing that I'm also interested in is, does the whole world have the computer processing power to actually implement it, right? It took a long while for like mobile phones as a technology to go across. And what does that mean for the power structures between countries?
Yeah, I mean, like, because ChatGPT introduced that $20 a month because it takes a lot to run this stuff, right?
Yeah. I think that was very smart that they did it as early as they did it. By the way.
So for a Google, for a Microsoft, which has Azure servers and Google servers around the world, it would just be going into their server centers and just making sure that they've got enough. Obviously, their investment they're investing, like Microsoft investing, was it 30 billion or something like that into it. So they're investing a lot into it. I'm pretty sure a lot of that is going to be to get the infrastructure in those servers around the world up to scratch.
Yep.
Because, I mean, I'm not quite sure when any of them are launching it. I mean, we've got the preview, the tech preview, right? But when the launch date for this is not quite sure. A lot of people think in the next couple of months.
Yeah. The other thing is right now it works on like internet, right? Like,
on the internet.
Is the infrastructure for the internet, a country like India and a country like Fiji, up to scratch to because
Well,
ChatGPT.
I've been hearing heaps about like the lack of server farms and
Yeah.
how it's going to become a massive problem for bandwidth in the future.
Yeah.
We don't have enough space to put these things, and what's going to happen now if we're going to introduce this type of technology that requires probably bigger servers? It's going to take up more space. So, yeah, where do they go now? Do they go underground? Do they make towers?
Yeah.
Server towers, ugly server towers, which would be not that great. So, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we just have to see where all this goes. I don't know. It's going to into a dystopian future, probably.
The more and more I talk about these things,
where I'm still alive because I said the AI is awesome.
We love the AI. With chat, ChangBT.
ChangMedia.
All right, I'm done. I'm done with AI. I'm done with this content angle.